Chair now recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Edwards, for any questions he may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being with us this afternoon. Can you tell us real quick, at what point do you believe that our debt levels would no longer be sustainable?
Well, it would look like a sudden stop in the economy as the credit would disappear, as markets would lose confidence. And the debt numbers are indeed scary. Secretary Yellen and I both agree that it is the debt to GDP that is the important number. So we are trying to both control the absolute level of debt, pay it down, but also grow the GDP.
And so I applaud your approach towards the debt. Give us an idea of where is that tipping point? How close do you think that we might be to that?
Again, sir, I think what the market, having been in markets for 35 or 40 years, what the market is more concerned about is a trajectory. Are you on a trajectory that is unsustainable, or are you, as we said during COVID, bending the curve? So the goal here is to both bend the curve, but to grow the denominator and use growth and spending constraint to solve this problem.
And thank you for that. And as part of the president's cabinet and seeing more inside what's taking place than any of the rest of us, what role would you say that DOGE is playing right now in prolonging that tipping point and reversing our fiscal trend?
Well, I think DOGE or any other measure to constrain the spending is admirable, important, and necessary. And if we don't do that, as I've said, ranking member, they mentioned it, we do not have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem, and we have to bring this spending under control.
My ranking member, Mr. Hoyer, would request that he have a chance to ask you another question before the stop.
When you say, and I want to reiterate this, that we have a spending problem, and I retort to you, no, what we have is a paying for problem. If I make $1 million, I can spend $999,000 less taxes. But if I make $500,000, I spend $1 million. That is a paying problem because I don't pay for it and I accumulate debt. That's how debt goes. Now, I was here in the Reagan administration some period of time ago. We were told that the tax cuts that were passed in 1981 were going to pay for themselves. They did not. It perhaps will surprise you, maybe you know this figure. The largest increase in the national debt was under Ronald Reagan, the only president who had a triple-digit, 189% increase in the national debt during the course of his term. It might also surprise you that Clinton is the only one who was 30% or lower since Ronald Reagan. Clinton is the only one who balanced the budget. Now, one of the reasons we did so is because we had bipartisan objectives. The Republicans wanted to cut taxes, which is their mantra, and we wanted to invest, as we call it, as opposed to spending, in children's education and people's health care, in safety, et cetera, et cetera. If we continue this logic that we have a spending problem and discount taxes as spending, when we did the tax increase under in 2017, you may recall, the Republicans gave themselves a $1.5 trillion headroom. The reason it was limited to that is because the senator from Tennessee wouldn't go higher than that. So in other words, a $1.5 trillion unpaid for headroom to give a tax cut. That is spending because you're cutting prices while increasing costs. That's what causes deficits. Some of my Republican friends, I'm a strong supporter of national defense, but I do not delude myself that raising $150 billion in national defense expenses don't cost taxes. We don't have $150 billion to either cut taxes with or to spend money with, so we borrow. And when my friend talks about hypocrisy, we all know if you spend more than you get, you go into debt. And that's what we do as a country on both sides of the aisle. And we need people like yourself to be honest with those with whom you work and honest with the Congress of the United States in terms of the ramifications of the actions. I know you are a strong supporter of permanent increase. You're not a strong supporter of paying for it. And you can cut all of non-defense discretionary spending and you won't get there. And this game that Mr. Musk has played, he had no sense of the ramifications of the actions he's taken. He knew how to do it. He was prepared. As one article in the Atlantic Journal said, the blitzkrieg, which our speaker calls flooding the zone, been pretty effective at that, just trying to watch where the ball is and see if you can respond. But, Mr. Secretary, I have a lot of questions. I'm going to send them to you, ask them to you, and would like to take some time with you on that. I have great respect for your background and your abilities, and I am really praying that you will bring a voice of reason and rationality to our deliberations. My time is over, and I appreciate the chairman's forbearance, but this is serious business. Very serious business. And I agree with you. A $37 trillion debt is not sustainable. And we all have to do it, but we have to do it together. That's the only way it will get done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You have a response, Mr. Secretary?
Congressman, thank you for that. And I would note that while President Reagan substantially increased the defense budget, the Clinton administration was able to capitalize on the peace dividend. But as you said, the defense budget dropped dramatically post the fall of the Iron Curtain, which contributed to the fiscal soundness. And through, as you said, through bipartisanship, working with Speaker Gingrich, they worked together. So I would hope that we could do that again.
Which, by the way, cost Gingrich's job. The right wing of his party was incensed that he did that. And what it did was had a rational policy because both sides participated.
So, the senator from Tennessee is actually my neighbor, so I see him quite often. And look, there are ramifications here. And
now, you're not talking about any current senators from Tennessee. He's left.
No, I know.
Yeah, okay.
Senator
I want to
Corker.
make sure we had the right Tennessean.
Senator Corker.
Yes.
Yes, is my neighbor. So, and I look forward to inviting a bipartisan solution.
I co-sponsored a bill, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, that would prevent the Federal Reserve from issuing central bank digital currency. Many of the folks that I represent are concerned about the security of such a currency and the privacy of their information were such a currency to be used. Can you give me your perspective and maybe the administration's perspective on the place for digital currency?
Sir, we believe that digital assets belong in the private sector. And my personal view is that having a central bank digital currency is a sign of weakness, not strength, because really the reason, if there is a reserve, say a reserve manager or a foreign central bank holds U.S. dollars, then there is a wide variety of U.S. assets they can invest in. You would create a central bank digital currency just for ease of use because there are no good choices for underlying assets.
And so you're saying you would not be in favor of the Federal Reserve issuing such a currency?
No, sir.